Hey everybody, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today we're back with everyone's favorite video, the TikTok roundup. We also have, look at what I made. It's a matcha. That's good. Well, that's not gonna work. No. Okay. Stay. So today we're going to rank 21 videos, I think. 22 videos, simply based on if the content is good and science-backed or if it is absolute trash. Now, I got the best idea submitted from one of you to make this Abby Lee Miller, Dance Mom's top of the pyramid type of style of ranking, and I completely forgot until I got to that clip that I saved in my folder, and I was already halfway through making the video. So that's what we're going to do next month. This month, we're going to stick with the tier list because I feel like that worked really well last time, and it was a nice way to like cohesively bring everything together. Here are the different tiers. They don't really mean anything except for like, this is good, this is bad, this is the middle. Here we go.
So I have realized that I will probably never have defined abs, and that is something that I am okay with. In middle school and high school, I used to lock myself in my room and do those YouTube ab workouts in secret. And immediately after I was done, I would look down to see if I had abs. And when I didn't see them, I was very disappointed. So my sole purpose in life became to get abs, and this became very dangerous for me. I started over-exercising and under-eating, and eventually I lost a ton of weight. And guess what? I still didn't have abs. After that, I spent years building muscle and just recently lost 15 pounds. Guess what? I still don't have abs. I think it's just my genetics. Maybe it's the Cuban genes, but I hold most of my fat in my stomach. And as women, we tend to carry more fat in this area. We have a uterus, we can grow life, which is honestly pretty amazing. But those beautiful shredded girls you see on here, just keep in mind, it's not healthy or sustainable to have those shredded abs year round unless you have the genetic lottery, which is incredible. But please stop comparing yourself because you are created in such a unique way. So instead of fighting against yourself, embrace what makes you unique because you are fearfully and wonderfully made just the way you are. And I promise you that once you shift your goal from trying to be skinny and trying to shrink yourself and make your goal to become the happiest, healthiest, most confident version of you, you can build a healthy lifestyle that you love and can actually maintain forever. Yay, okay, I think that was good.
That was cute. I mean, honestly, yeah. I think the thing that I want you to take away from this whole video, which does have a lot of really lovely points, is that comparison is going to be your downfall. Comparing your body to somebody else's because you deem it beautiful is not going to be helpful. It's just a losing battle. Humans come in all shapes and sizes based on our genetics, based on our lifestyle, based on our cultures. You know, we don't and we shouldn't all look like shredded models. Honestly, I just think that's really boring. You know, I'm not Cuban, my husband is, but I too have never had defined abs, even when I was at my thinnest, which was also my unhealthiest. But even when I was that thin, I never have had defined abs. I don't really know if it's like genetically possible for me to achieve that and still be healthy. But I also just think it's important to remember that like having defined abs doesn't necessarily make you healthy, and it doesn't necessarily make you beautiful. Like it doesn't mean you're not beautiful or not healthy if you don't have them, if that makes sense. You are beautiful with or without abdominal definition. I say this is a yes.
I posted this graphic a few days ago to provide a visual representation of why focusing a lot of energy on the chemicals in our food isn't going to have a major positive impact on your health as an individual or the health of our population. And as expected, I got quite a bit of pushback from people who have a hard time with this message, and I completely understand why. If you've spent any amount of time on social media trying to learn about nutrition, chances are that you've been exposed to quite a bit of content that is focused on the toxic chemicals in our food and how they're harming your health. And the reason being is because this type of content is really easy to produce and it's more likely to go viral. So there are thousands of accounts that are mostly posting the same stuff. They're just copying each other's content and they're taking individual ingredients in foods. They're exaggerating their effects and scaring you into thinking that they're providing you some type of useful information, which then causes you to trust them as a reliable source when they're far from it. I can do that with any food. For example, red meat, when we cook it, develops these compounds called advanced glycation end products and polycystic aromatic hydrocarbons. And these compounds can damage our DNA and contribute to the development of cancer. So I can make a video focusing on these compounds and negating the impact of red meat on our health as a whole and scare you away from eating red meat and also make you think I have some unique information that other people are missing, which again causes you to trust me. This type of content is not educational at all. It may feel like you're learning something while you're watching it, but this is just marketing. It is meant to get your attention with fear, confuse you, and make you feel a little anxious so that you feel like you have to continue to follow this person and take their advice so that you don't miss out on the next poisonous ingredient that you're eating that you shouldn't be. I would strongly recommend minimizing your exposure to that type of content and focusing your energy on these factors if your goal is to improve your health. Because going for a 15-minute walk every single day is going to have a much larger positive impact on your health than aggressively avoiding food dyes or seed oils. You're going to get a lot more benefit from, for example, adding in a 15-minute walk to your daily routine or keeping healthy snacks on hand like fruit and mixed nuts than you are from aggressively avoiding food dyes.
Amen. There is a huge push in my country right now to eliminate chemicals from our food, which I would argue everything's a chemical. But I digress. Look, there are absolutely oversights in like the food safety in America, and I'm sure in many other countries that should be addressed. But if we're trying to like triage the situation of health of Americans, banning certain ingredients is very far down on the list of things that we should be changing. I already made an entire video talking about, societal impacts of health and changes that I believe and many other professionals believe would actually have a much larger change on the health of Americans. So you can watch that video if you would like to. But let's just summarize a few key points of pillars in our health that Americans are not hitting that would make drastic improvements in our health. Most Americans do not hit the minimum movement guidelines between cardio and strength training. Most Americans don't hit the minimum amount of fiber that they are recommended to get daily. And many Americans are one medical emergency away from draining their savings because we are like the only rich as hell country that does not provide your universal health care to its citizens. There's so much more to pick apart. Again, go watch that other video if you'd like to learn a little bit more. But the takeaway here is that a specific chemical in your food, unless you're like allergic to it or highly sensitive to it, is not going to make or break your health. Having access to healthcare, affordable produce, and the time outside of work to actually move your body will have a much higher impact on your health. We're going to put this guy at the top as well with a yas. Let's take a look at this one point by point. I have to tell you, I think I got sent this one about 10 times. And what I did tell everybody who sent this to me is that technically all of these points at first glance are true. Like they're technically true. But as we go through this, I just want you to think about how an average person would take this information and implement it. What's the point of posting this, okay? Especially now that we've seen a little bit more about like how most Americans are not hitting the basic, movement and nutrition guidelines that are put out there to promote long-term health. Anyway, let's look at it point by point. Point number 1, women naturally have 12% essential body fat compared to 4% in men. Yeah, I'm not sure how accurate those exact percentages are, but if we're just zooming out and looking at the bigger statement here, women are going to typically have more body fat than men. Mostly that's going to come down to just like evolutionarily, women typically are the ones that are going to carry a child. You want to have more fat to protect that area. In terms of like why women should know this, maybe to like ease your mind if like you have more body fat than your significant other. I don't know. Let's look at point number 2. Women's muscles are built for endurance, type 1, while men's focus on power, type 2. This is actually also true for the most part. I did make a whole video about like differences between men and women in terms of training. So you can go watch that if you want to hear a little bit more. Typically, women do tend to have a higher percentage of slow twitch or type 1 muscle fibers, which are a little bit more for like endurance. They're more oxidative, whereas men typically do have more like a higher ratio of type 2 muscle fibers or fast twitch, which are going to be more for like power. I talked about this in that other video, but the way that we can kind of like compute and use this information is that typically women can recover faster, not only like in between sets and workouts, but maybe even in between whole sessions. You might even see that women can just handle more volume across the board. But again, that's not like a tried and true rule. Like I have men and women that I train one-on-one, and I definitely see things that break this rule. And it also doesn't mean that women are only meant to train endurance and men are only meant to train power. We should all be training both. So once again, I just don't really like, aside from this being like a fun fact, I don't know. Like, how's this helpful? Next point is, after exercise, women burn fat for 3 hours, but men burn it up to 21 hours. I have no idea if this is true or not. I didn't even take the time to Google it. Because honestly, again, like step back, is this helpful? I think now, like, we're just making women angry that, I don't know. Like, I already see so much talk out there of like, it's not fair and this isn't fair because my body works differently. And it's like, again, the comparison game. I don't know how that's helpful. So I don't really know how anyone would like implement this information. The next point is that women rely more on fat for energy while men burn more carbs. This is also pretty much true. It's a little bit of like a oversimplification, but most of this does come from the fact that, again, women are going to have a higher percentage of stored body fat. So they're going to be able to pull from more of that, whereas men are going to typically, again, use more carbohydrates in the moment. I also wonder, like, evolutionarily, that's not a word, but like if this comes from the fact too that most of the time in our society, you see women doing more of those like endurance types of exercises, like Pilates and bar and yoga and things like that, whereas men do typically gravitate more toward that anaerobic training. I don't really know. That's just a theory. But once again, I don't really understand how people would utilize this information. The next point is that fasting can disrupt women's hormones and increase cortisol, but it doesn't affect men in the same way. This is actually a solid point and pretty much true. More and more studies have shown that when studying something like intermittent fasting, it's not really recommended for women simply because hormonally, men and women typically are different. Again, this really comes down to like menstruation and ovaries and hormone production, which is going to be different person to person. And I'm not the best person to like interpret studies. It's not a skill set that I have. So I'm not super familiar with like what the outcomes are with studying women doing intermittent fasting. But I do know that like the conclusions are not super recommended across the board. So that is like actually some good actionable information right there. And the last point is that women's metabolism shifts through their cycle while men stays consistent. No, that's just not true. So your metabolism, just so we all know what it is, it's not like an organ. It's not like chip in a computer system. Your metabolism is every metabolic process in your body. And so basically it's like the energy that it takes to do all of those things, right? And no matter your sex, that will fluctuate. It'll fluctuate daily, probably. Maybe not a ton, but you're not a robot. Like it's not going to be like my metabolic rate is 1, 3, 2, 2 every single day. Like that's not how our bodies work. Now, women who menstruate typically do have more complex cycles, which can definitely affect your metabolism more than say a male counterpart. But to say that like men's metabolisms don't fluctuate is just plain false. So overall, I would just ask this creator, like, what is the point of this post? It's informative, sure, in terms of just like fun facts, but outside of the fasting, I don't really know how anybody would implement any of these things. And side note, like I said, I got sent this from about 10 different people. Every single person who sent it to me was utterly confused. They had no idea what to do with this information. But you know, people make content like this because it performs really well, because it makes the person sound really knowledgeable, because there's a lot of buzzwords and there's percentages, but like, who are you actually helping? So we're gonna put this as like, meh. Like it's not, like it's all pretty much true for the most part, but like, how is this helpful? I think we're confusing people more than we're helping them.
Let the feelings fade and numb the pain with someone new who isn't you. Let the feelings fade and numb the pain.
All right, let's read the comment that was left on Meg's post. During sprints, the muscles can absorb most of the impact, but when running longer distances, they are simply not able to keep up. That's why so many runners have knee problems. And then Meg writes on there, these types of comments are an excuse, not a fact. I mean, personally, I wouldn't use the word excuse. I would just say like, this is just false. It's not fact. But the basic takeaway of what this person is saying is like, short sprints are okay, but longer runs is what causes knee problems in runners. And that is such an oversimplification that it's just false. It's not that running long distances is going to hurt your knees. It's that running longer distances than your knees are ready for will hurt your knees. Does that make sense? It's not a modality problem. It's a volume problem. Or maybe it's a form problem too. But like this goes for anything. Doing more push-ups than your shoulders are strong enough to handle will cause shoulder issues. Squatting more weight than your body is able to squat will cause, I don't know, knee or back or hip or ankle or whatever issues. Anything done at too high of a load, too much volume, or potentially with poor form will cause issues. So we're gonna put this as a yas. I like this. We got some good content this month, baby. I like that. That was funny. All right. So obviously this is just like a joke. It's something fun and light, but let me chime in here as someone in her younger years who, if she had that step count of like 9,800 and was trying to hit 10,000, would jog around her apartment at midnight until it was done. Guys, it doesn't really matter. Just sit down. You're close. You did it. You don't gotta do that. I know that like hitting your step goal every day or closing your rings can feel really motivating. And when you're like just short, it's like, damn, like I almost hit it. But it truly doesn't matter. Like those less than 200 steps is not going to make a difference in anything. It's not going to make or break you. And this is why I typically encourage people to zoom out, look at their whole week, look at their weekly average, and make sure that they're hitting their steps in that way, because day to day isn't the big picture. We want to look at the big picture. And I just say this because I know this personally. I have seen it with other people and other clients. Like hitting those numbers, while it is satisfying, it can be very like all-consuming and obsessive. And to be honest, like those numbers aren't even that accurate. We have plenty of studies, and while trackers are getting better and more accurate, like they're still not 100% accurate. So like getting up and walking around your apartment for an hour to hit your steps at the very end of the day before the clock strikes midnight, like you don't need to do that. So I know this creator meant no harm. This is literally no shade to her, but just because of that underlying message, we're going to put it as like, okay, it's okay. It's okay. But girl, you can tap. I like that.
Do women have a shorter anabolic window compared to men? There is actually no research to support the idea that women need to ingest protein sooner post-exercise compared to men. As far as we know, the anabolic window is the same between men and women. Additionally, menopausal women still remain sensitive to protein for a long period of time. Thus, practically speaking, the post-workout protein timing recommendations are the same. Yes, it is true that women are not identical to men. And at times, our physiologies absolutely do differ. The anabolic window is one of those instances where men and women are more alike than not. If you're worried about muscle protein synthesis, consistently lifting weights over months and years, as well as getting sufficient protein daily overall, are important. The anabolic window is not nearly as narrow as we once believed. And as a reminder, having a popular podcast or being on a popular podcast or having a PhD or any other title does not mean that all your information is automatically going to be correct all the time. Okay?
Ooh. I feel like there's just a fine line between making sure there's enough research done on women, since most of the research done in the world of like exercise science and nutrition has been done on men, and then like swinging the whole other direction and being like every single thing that women and men do must be different because we are not just small men. It's like, okay, we're all still the same species though. So let's like pump the brakes. And so he brings up such a great point here of like bigger thing we want to be focusing on before thinking about protein timing is like, are you eating protein? Are you eating enough protein consistently to even build muscle? Are you even strength training? Look, the point here is like, if you aren't doing the basics first, which we've already learned most Americans are not, why am I going to jump to protein timing and protein timing based on your sex? This is why so much of my content is basic, because my audience is general population, and most of general population are not hitting the basics. Now you're here. You're probably someone who's interested in these things, right? Hopefully we can spread the word. We can reach out to people who maybe aren't as interested or as knowledgeable in fitness and nutrition. So I'm never saying it as like an attack on you. I just want you to know that. It's never an attack on you. I feel like people think that I'm attacking them. I'm not. So like if you have like a very popular podcast, but your main demographic is like athletes or competitors, like, yeah, like talk about protein timing, talk about all of these more advanced things. But like if you're a doctor with a podcast that millions of everyday people listen to, but you're out here shilling like Athletic Greens sponsorships, are you really helping people? Anyway, I liked this. So he's like, quiet sass at the end. So this is a yas.
After dropping 100 pounds body fat, here's one thing I learned the hard way, so you don't have to. However long you think this is supposed to take, go ahead and double it. double it. And not because you're not gonna try, not because your plan won't work, but because we have been conditioned to expect instant gratification from our bodies, and that is literally not the way you were designed. It took you 10 years to gain that weight, but you want it off in 21 days. There are 10 years worth of habits and beliefs and systems and routines that the carnivore diet can't unteach you. On top of that, it's gonna be your birthday. You're gonna get invited to brunch. You might travel. You'll miss a day in the gym. And you'll have stop starts for the rest of this year. At best, losing a pound a week this year is absolutely attainable, but your body won't lose weight every week. And after you lose about 10% of your body weight, your body's gonna decide that it don't wanna lose weight no more. So what then? You don't know, and that's okay. I had to learn the hard way too, but that's why I'm here to teach you. So stick around. Let's learn together. Meet me in the comments. I got something for you.
I like her. Look, this is good shit right here. Changing your body in any direction takes time. And like she said, one of those reasons is simply life. Birthdays, vacations, work, sickness, these things happen. They are all part of life, and they will at times get in the way of the systems that you've hopefully created for yourself. But one of the reasons why I talk so much about creating these sustainable systems is because you're going to hit those start stops like she just talked about. Life is going to get in the way. And when life gets in the way, let's say you get sick or you go on vacation or you have to help take care of someone or whatever happens, it's very easy for you to get back to your routine because you've set in place a sustainable system that works. So for instance, my workout system, I pay for programming from someone who knows more than me. I get 3 workouts a week. I go on my calendar, I schedule those workouts. I pay for a gym membership, so I go to the gym to do them. I get sick, that sucks, but I'm going to go right back to this system when I'm feeling better. Why? Because I paid for it. I put it in my calendar. It's shit I actually enjoy doing. And I know that it's actually going to make me feel a lot better based on years of past experience. Simple, but it works. Build your systems, give it time, and stick to it. And remember that 21 days is not time. This is going at the top, everybody.
There have been studies that have come out recently showing that you can do 10 bodyweight squats, 10 bodyweight squats every 45 minutes throughout about 8-hour workday. And that'll improve your blood glucose regulation better than a 30-minute walk.
So to recap, 10 bodyweight squats every 45 minutes over 8 hours improves your blood glucose levels more than a 30-minute walk does. What am I supposed to take away from this? Like stop walking and start squatting? Also, what does improve your blood glucose levels mean? What is the population and the improvement that we're actually even talking about here? Now, I've said it many times. I think I've already said it in this video. I'm not super well equipped to actually read studies and interpret them, but someone did leave a comment. I don't know who this is, so I'm not gonna claim that they have that skill set, but they did make a few interesting points that I do know are just things to look out for in studies. So we're just gonna hit on those points really quickly. So one of the things that this person said was that the study included an 18 sample solely of obese men. 18 people is a really, really small sample size. It doesn't seem like this has been replicated either. The findings have not been replicated. At least it doesn't seem like it. Also, it's only men. So the other thing that's a little bit of a red flag is that these people were self-reporting their lifestyle prior to the study. They were also self-reporting, so diet logs were also kept by the participants, not controlled by the researchers. So these people were not only self-reporting the before, but also self-reporting a lot of not the data after, but their nutrition, which is going to have a huge, huge impact on your blood glucose levels. So this is just another instance of someone citing one small study done on one sex with questionable procedures on a podcast that gets clipped up and spread all over the internet just to confuse people and get people to listen to the episode to just be more confused. Look, do you want to squat every 45 minutes? Amazing. Do it. Do you want to go on a 30-minute walk before work? Amazing. Do it. Honestly, guys, we're just focusing on too small of details at this point. Again, most Americans aren't even fucking hitting their movement goals. Why are we gonna talk them out of walking? What is happening? Just do one, do both. It doesn't matter. Guys, podcast equipment should be harder to buy. Yikes. Yikes. You guys, that made me tear up. That was so pure. There's like 1,000 reasons to like this video, but let's just pick 2 points. What joy and celebration over what I can only assume is a PR and a skill. So much of the time with women's fitness content, it's about an aesthetic outcome, not a skill-based outcome. Aesthetic outcomes are fine, but most of the time, that's where the push is. It's this push to fix or change or shrink or sculpt or tone your body. Just this constant flood of marketing that really just is a way to make us want to shrink our bodies and make us more attractive for the male gaze is what it all seems like. This woman is celebrating and being celebrated for something her body can do. And it has nothing to do with what her body looks like while doing the thing. Number 2, look at the diversity in this class. This is how you know the product is good. I see all shapes and sizes here. You know, one of the things that you see a lot in the Pilates community is like, oh my God, well, Pilates definitely works because look at all these people. They're all so thin and sculpted and toned. And maybe, just maybe, it's not that the method did that. It's just that you only cater to that demographic of body type. Look, way back, I used to work at a studio like this where I had many people tell me they were terrified to come take my class at that specific studio because it didn't seem super welcoming to all shapes and sizes. This is what I want to see in my classes. This is what I would want to see in my gym. And also, they're in Harlem. So like, I got to get my little butt on the M60, take it across the river. I got to get into class. This is at the top, everybody. Loved this. It made me cry in a good way. All right, let's just read this one real quick. This is like a quote. It's like, AI is going to replace S&C coaches' jobs. S&C is strength and conditioning. I'd like to see AI have a caffeine addiction and forget how many reps you've done. I just think that's funny. Yeah, a little trick for me. I actually count reps for clients on my fingers because it gives me one less thing to think about. So my fingers move with them. I still mess up reps sometimes. And if you're a client of mine, you know that I do that. But I will never do the thing that is like the joke of like 3 more reps. And it's like, just kidding, 10 more. No. I will not abuse your trust like that. People who do that are, that's mean. That's bad coaching. I thought this was funny. We're going to put it at the top. Yes. Okay, we have to read this one because a Beyonce song is being played in the background. Oh my God, every time I try and read in real time, this goes really badly. Okay, let's try it. Here we go. Do you want those beautiful Beyonce legs? Well, you can if you start doing these 3 exercises. Walking reverse lunges. I didn't say forwards. We're bringing it back, baby. Bulgarian split squats. Lock and load that back foot up on a bench or coffee table. It's time to get that heart rate up and your body with some good old-fashioned box jumps. These aren't box jumps. If you need a little lower impact, give me those step ups. Oh, okay. Weighted and right back down to the ground. And in the words of Beyonce, I embrace my flaws, but I also get up every day and work to improve them, just like you. Be sure to follow me to get more tips and tricks on how to get your body looking like celebrities right from home. Barf. Okay, Beyonce, after, 20, 25 years in the industry, finally won Album of the Year and a shocking historic win of Best Country Album of the Year. And having nothing to do with her recent accomplishments, this woman has delivered one of my favorite lines in all of movie musical history.
I got it. Turn the wigs around. What? No, really, come on, turn the wigs around.
But all you can talk about is what her legs look like. You guys, this isn't even going to go the direction of like, well, genetics and, she's rich. She has all the money in the world. So, you can't expect to look just like Beyonce. I'm not even going to go down that route. I'm going to take this one over here. Can we just stop reducing women's bodies to what they look like? Just stop. Your body, no matter who you are, it is the least interesting thing about you. You and Beyonce. We are not objects. We are humans living in bodies that happen to look a certain way. This type of content offends me on both the scientific level and the societal level. So kudos to you. This is trash content and you should be ashamed.
Make it a habit, 10 minutes every morning all the way till March. I have a little over a month to get in better shape, so I started doing the Better Me.
Wait, I can't. All right, well, we needed that. Can we get that one more time, but like in slow-mo?
Make it a habit, 10 minutes every morning all the way till March.
Holy shit, that's great. I have nothing. I actually think it's brilliant. Like, as a cat lover, I'm like, I love it. But obviously, like, it's not good content. This is from Better Me. I honestly feel like they give me the vibe of like, if I give you my credit card, are you going to steal my identity? Like, that's the vibe this gives me. Don't understand any of this. Like, why are we changing species in this program? We're going to put it in the hell no. But I do think this is actually like, it's one of those like full circle moments, like where it's so bad that it's actually incredible.
Full range of motion training, including deep squats, ruined my joints. Fortunately, God led me on a journey during my PhD to find the miraculous benefits of 90-degree training that healed my body and thousands of others. My new YouTube video explains.
Did he just cite God as a source? This is Dr. Joel Seedman. For a long time, I feel like he was like the face of like functional fitness. He just does weird shit with athletes that he somehow conned into training. And right now his big thing is 90-degree joint angle. So you never train past 90 degrees because otherwise you'll ruin your joints. Spoiler, there are no real studies to back this up. Anytime that you ask him for the studies, he cites his book. So he cites himself and God, apparently. So God and himself are the sources for this. There is actually like a study or two that does show that working just to the 90-degree angle can actually produce similar or same muscle growth to like full range of motion training. But the important thing to know is that it's in like the stretched position, not in the short end. So for instance, let's take a squat. Hold on. So he's like, this is where you want to train, just up here. So we're getting like a little stretch and then back up, a little stretch and then back up. But what the studies are showing, oh my God, also I've been sitting on this knee for like an hour. The studies are showing that training, okay, I'm down at the bottom, here to here, here to here is similar to here to here to here. Does that make sense? Because down here, you're lengthened and loaded, baby. I would just argue that if you fucked up your joints squatting full range of motion, it's because your form was either shitty or you were under too much load. You were ego lifting. Also, just one more thing to drive my point home. This is another post from him. Deep squats ruin knees. 90-degree fixes them. New podcast with MLB pro Parker Meadows. Here's a photo of this man at a way deeper angle than 90 degrees. And like, here's the thing. Let's use common sense for a second. An athlete, especially, is training in the gym to prevent injury in their sport and better perform in their sport, right? If you're a catcher, you're going to be at these severe deep stretches, especially hip, knee, ankle. How are you supposed to not get injured in that if you're never training in that? Like, what? And it's also just so funny to me because there's literally the photo right here. This is trash. This is a hell no. Oh my God. Mess. All right, let's go to this next one. We have a few photos coming up. So I saw this posted on Reddit. Let's read the whole post and then we'll talk about it. Gracie Abrams to Cosmopolitan on people talking about her abs and asking for her workout routine. And this is a quote from her. It's gotten kind of out of hand. There's no end to the discourse on women's bodies. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, shut up. It's not complicated. It's not your body. I don't have a routine. I swear on my life. So I actually saw this posted in a Reddit, like a subreddit, and the consensus in the group was,
she's such a bitch for not sharing her workout routine. She shows her stomach all the time. She obviously wants us to ask about her ab routine. Why is she gatekeeping? Just share the workout routine.
You guys, maybe she's just showing her stomach because she likes wearing clothes that happen to show her stomach. Because it's her body, she can do whatever she wants with it. Maybe showing your stomach isn't an invitation for people to comment on it or speculate about it or touch it. Maybe this woman just lives in a thin body and it has absolutely nothing to do with the music that she creates. And that's it. We're going to put this as a hell no. We have another one. This says a woman can never win. No matter what a woman does, she will be criticized. Margot Robbie gains weight during pregnancy. Ew, she let herself go. Lily Collins uses a surrogate. Oh, it must be because she doesn't want to get fat. How vain. Like, we can't win. We can't win. We can't win. That speech in Barbie. Obviously, this is a hell no. Something lighter. This is from a physical therapist that I follow. So she has an image of this really, really bulky running shoe. And she says, running shoes getting wild out there. Like, what direction are we really going in with this technology? Seems like these companies are just making shit up now. They've already convinced people that they literally can't survive or walk or do anything active without support for their poor arches. We have arches for a reason. They need load and isometric work. And they typically hurt people because they are underprepared, not because they are overworked. This is a hard agree, guys. Look, I'm not a PT, I'm not a podiatrist, and I realize that there are certain situations where someone would need a lot more arch support or like support in general for their feet, but this is a band-aid over a problem. Like the shoes that we have today and have had for so many years are smaller than the size of our foot, which causes them to start to fold in, which creates things like bunions. There's so much excessive support in our arches that we're starting to lose like the actual function of them. It's that age-old saying, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. And these issues at the foot are going to work themselves up the chain. Like if something doesn't move well at the foot, whether it's like, I don't know, supination or pronation, that's going to work your way up into the ankle and cause issues there, which will work its way up to the knee, cause issues there, up to the hip, up to the back. Like everything is connected. This is a much larger conversation that we can have in a whole nother video, but I just think that a lot of the solutions out there are just band-aids over the deeper problem. So we're going to put this at the top. Thank you, Dr. Shannon. All right, last photo. So this was actually sent to me asking if it was like a solid leg day. This is from Bessie. I don't really know who this person is, but she seems to have a very large following. So this is a quick and efficient leg day. So without even looking at the workout yet, quick and efficient to me, quick means like timely. So I would say like, let's be generous and say like 45 minutes and under. And then efficient means we're going to hit a lot of different stuff really strategically. So we're going to get, I don't know, a good well-roundedness of like hip versus knee dominant. In the hip dominant, are we working shorten versus lengthen, getting some unilateral movement in there, maybe even seeing things in like different planes of motion from just sagittal, up, down, front, back. So let's look at the workout. So the first thing, 15 minutes on the Stairmaster warm-up. Well, we don't love that. Number one, if we're going for a quick and efficient leg day, 15 minutes is actually a little long for your warm-up. I can get this done in 5 to 7 minutes. And within those 5 to 7 minutes, I'm going to pick things that are incredibly strategic so that we can hop right into the bulk of your workout. So that's already not good. Then the workout, we've got Smith squats, like Smith machine, 3 sets of 12, then knee squats. What are knee squats? 3 sets of 12. Then Romanian deadlifts, 3 sets of 10. Hip thrusts, 3 sets of 12. Abductors, 3 sets of 12. Pendulum squats? Pendulant? Does she mean petulant? But what's a what the fuck's happening? 3 sets of 10, and then dumbbell sumo squats, 3 sets of 12. Then finish off with 3 sets of 20 cable crunches. This would take me 2+ hours. Jesus Christ, this is not quick or efficient. There's just so many of the same thing happening. Like we have a bilateral squat, bilateral hip dominant, bilateral hip dominant. That's a machine. Then another bilateral squat, then another bilateral. It's the same thing over and over and over and over. This isn't good. It's far too much volume. There's no unilateral work. I was going to try and be like, here's what I would do from this. If you wanted to pick this, I wouldn't do any of this. I would just rewrite it. I'd have to rewrite you a leg day program right now. We're going to put this in yikes. Like it's not inherently like evil, but this is not good at all. That's terrible. Yikes.
Throw away all the peanut butter. Even if it's organic, lovely, Whole Foods peanut butter hand crushed by birds. So peanuts, when they're stored, they release a gas, and that gas is so carcinogenic. So those peanuts are then crushed and put into peanut butter. And there are so many oils in there. There are so many acids in there that are all carcinogenic. You're basically eating junk to your body. You are hurting your body. You are reducing your health. But you hear all these health food blogs and videos and movies telling you that peanut butter is an excellent source of protein. It's all crap.
First of all, if someone is telling you peanut butter is an excellent source of protein, they're very misinformed. Peanut butter is a fat source that happens to be a little bit higher in protein. That's like saying that like a piece of steak is a source of fat. It's like, no, it's a protein that happens to be higher in fat Anyway, so what she's talking about, I did look it up. She's talking about aflatoxin, which is in the carcinogenic family, and it has never caused an outbreak of sickness in humans. This is not an issue. We already learned at the very beginning of this video, red meat has, a chemical that's released too, like something similar happens. There's different vegetables where this happens. Like this is just screaming like the same energy as the vegetables are poison lady from last month, which unfortunately many people agreed with her. Yeah. Look, guys, anything in excess is going to be toxic. And there's always going to be a small demographic of people who are more sensitive to certain chemicals or ingredients or foods or byproducts of those foods. It doesn't mean that those foods are poisonous. Unless you're allergic to peanuts, you're probably going to be fine. That made me laugh. This says, my Oura ring hates to see this espresso martini-induced sleep coming. I also respect the fact that this is from the Oura ring account. Yeah, I mean, this is incredibly true. I have talked about it here and there, and of course, in true Justina fashion, I'm going to make a whole video talking about it, but this year I've really stepped back from really consuming much alcohol at all. I've had a handful of exceptions, but there are many reasons for this, but one of the big reasons was to help improve my sleep. And let me just say that the days that I have had alcohol, my Fitbit, when I wear it to bed, has been like,
are you okay? Like, do we need to go to the hospital? We can't afford an ambulance, so should I call an Uber?
That's the vibe that we've been getting. So we're going to put this in Yas because this is incredibly true. And I honestly respect the Oura ring account. Good content. What in the softcore porn was that? What is happening? He did not do Tracy Anderson method to build those muscles. Fuck off. Absolutely not. No. This just made me laugh. This is so stupid. And I also just like not actually love, but like I love the fact that Tracy Anderson just like pivots from trend to trend. She's like, and she just cycles through. It's her method, but then it's like, oh, but now we sell dumbbells, but they're weight rings. Oh, and now there's a box, but it's not a box. It's a nature piece of wood that has been handcrafted by a lumberjack and it costs $5,000. Like, this is, I mean, we're going to put it in meh because like there's nothing really bad about it. It's just, what the fuck?
That Hims commercial from the Super Bowl about weight loss medication was so fat phobic, it should have rattled you to your core on multiple levels. For starters, Hims and Hers as a brand has always been deeply upsetting to me because their commercials prior to this for Hims was always about the other ED, while for Hers it was always about depression and depression medication. So that off-rip was already bad. On top of that, a commercial promoting weight loss in and of itself is fat phobic, but especially with the medical spin that commercial had. Like, it harkens back to the fat phobia and the body shaming that we saw back in the 2000s. Like, I have not seen an ad openly be like, hey, you need to consider losing some weight, like we as a nation. And here's a solution. Like, it was very on the nose in a way that we haven't seen in a very long time. On top of that, the context, the venue in which this ad was shown was also incredibly damaging. A ton of people saw this commercial, likely while they were eating and celebrating with their families. And yet, they instantly felt shame about their bodies because that commercial was designed to make them feel shame. I saw it in the faces and the words said in my own household when we saw that commercial. People who were once laughing and giggling with each other, enjoying snacks and enjoying treats, immediately put them down and felt bad about themselves within seconds. And then to phrase the solution to this problem, not as a commentary on the kind of food that is accessible to many Americans, between the not super healthy, overprocessed food and, the economic instability that we're experiencing that means a lot of people can't afford the healthier foods. No, we didn't do that avenue. There was no note on exercise and the importance of moving your body and how we can't do that because A, we live in a car culture, and B, because we live in a capitalist society that means that we're stuck sitting down at our desks for 8, 9, 10, even more hours a day. No, the solution to this problem is to buy weight loss medication because you need to lose the weight. You need to lose it quickly, and you obviously can't do it by yourself. Where are we going with this? The regression from body positivity or even body neutrality all the way back to this 2000s era super skinny body, everybody needs to lose weight, blah, 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 is so clearly indicative of a conservative backslide just as a nation. And if we're not seeing it, if that isn't rattling you to your core, then you really need to sit down and investigate why that is and what your role is in participating in the conservative backslide, because that ad was actually crazy.
Many good points were made. I think the theme that you see that keeps coming up is we're putting Band-Aids over problems. And look, I'm not going to comment on weight loss medication. I think there's a time and a place for it. I guess I'm commenting. I think there's a time and a place for it. And I'm not going to sit here and judge people who choose that route, because it's none of my business. But the thing about the commercial, I think all of those points were beautifully made. I have nothing to add to her points, but I want to add one more in there. I just think it's so funny that the commercial was like, Big Pharma is out to get you. Big Pharma is the enemy. They're making things inaccessible. So we have an off-brand that's kind of a blend, and you can buy it from us instead. What? We're not fixing anything. We have this bigger problem of people are unhealthy, and I'm not equating this to body size. We're going to take body size and appearance out of it, right? We're going to look at health markers. People in our country, for the most part, aren't typically healthy in the ways that we would measure internal markers, okay? We have big solutions on how to fix that in terms of getting in exercise, making sure people are eating and have access to nutritional foods. I said nutritional, I meant nutritious. Don't come for me. We're spitballing here. I don't know, even just can we afford to go to the doctor, right? All of these things. These are big issues that would require big changes in policies, big changes in the way that this country functions. But instead, we're just going to keep popping up different private businesses for you to spend your money at that aren't really fixing anything. It is just wild to me. I don't understand. I do understand. It's capitalism. It's individualism. I mean, that's a yes, but that got kind of depressing at the end. Yay, we made it. So anyway, that's the video. I do have access to TikTok again because now it is re-downloadable in the App Store. So if you would like to send me something from TikTok, if you would like to send me something from Instagram, I would always love to get submissions so I can decrease my scrolling time. And if I have something to comment on, I'll try to include it in the next video. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, leave them below, and I'll see you in the next one.